Well, good evening, church. I don't know how many times I've tried to record this, loads, and I found it hard, tough, and sometimes it's hard trying to step out in faith and serve the Lord, isn't it? And that's a little bit what we're going to do today. We're going to look at today. I was on a roll a moment ago and all the kids came banging on the door and that threw me off. So hopefully I get through this, and if it's a bit disjointed, I pray that you forgive me, treat me with some grace. So here goes, the last Beatitude. When I realised we were doing the Beatitudes, I was really excited about that. I love the Beatitudes. And Jim sent a list round, and he'd sort of already put names, he'd already sort of filled in the slots, I think, just for the sake of, moving it forward and getting things in there. And I thought, I don't mind doing the Beatitude. Well, I don't really want to do these things, but it's good to step out in faith, isn't it, to challenge ourselves. And I thought, there's one I don't want to do. I knew him roughly off the top of my head. There's one I don't really want to do. And lo and behold, which one did Jim put my name against? Not on purpose, not Jim's fault. He had no idea. It just, how God is sovereign and all these things, was the last Beatitude. The 8th Beatitude. What does that say? Okay, Matthew 5, verse 10. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The first 7 Beatitudes describe the life that God calls us to pursue. We go after them. Go after them. Go after them, church. The last Beatitude is different. This describes the outcome of such a life. No one likes the thought of persecution, of suffering, okay? But facing opposition, suffering, persecution, because you're a Christian, is going to be a normal response. I have to face it regularly with a sports team I play for. Sometimes it's banter, sometimes it crosses the line, and it's hard sometimes. And no doubt you faced it in school, in the office, at home. You're trying to live a righteous life. You're trying to do some of these things, and even in your own home, your husband, your wife, your kids, your wider family, you're facing persecution, opposition for it. But take heart, that's a normal response to stepping out in faith. There's light and there's evil. The evil don't like there's light and there's darkness, And people don't like that. And persecution for righteous sake began in the first family. I was reading, Cain and Abel, the sons of Adam and Eve, the first family. Someone was persecuted there because of their righteousness. Killed, in fact. And it goes all the way, this theme goes all the way through the Bible. But thankfully, praise the Lord, the Bible doesn't say, blessed, you're blessed when you're persecuted and good luck on your way. It says, blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness. Why? For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. We know there's blessings this side of heaven for persecution. They've been touched on before in Sunday services, and I think Danny McCormick did one and the last service, the last house group service. But when you face persecution, you're blessed, for great is your reward in heaven. And I don't know about you, but the older I get, the more I tend to think about heaven, and try to put my hope in it. Lay up treasures for yourself in heaven. When it says great is your reward, reward means something that will be given to people who suffer these evils that would not have been done to you otherwise. Lay up treasures in heaven. The book that Jim gave me talks about Jonathan Edwards, the great American theologian, was convinced from scriptures that there are different degrees in happiness in heaven. I don't want to dwell too much into this because I might confuse you and confuse myself a little bit, but we'll be rewarded for the persecution. There'll be blessing because of the persecution in heaven, and the more I think and dwell on heaven, the more I hold on to it. Lay up your treasures there. Put your hope there, because what we face now is temporarily, but the promise of heaven and the reward that's there, is for eternity. And while I found it challenging, reflection on persecution, the blessing that comes of it, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, has been a real blessing and encouragement to me. Especially as life is hard, it's difficult, we see what goes on around us, the thought of heaven becomes a sweeter one. Maybe this evening in house group you want to think about a couple of things. You might be facing persecution now in whatever form because of your faith, and if you are, perhaps now's the time to share it and to pray together about it, to reflect on it, strengthen each other. And the second one is if you're not facing it right at the moment, it will come, and reflect on how that makes you feel, and then perhaps reflect on what it says, blessed for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This has happened right the way through the Bible, and we'll have to face it, and that's a difficult message in itself, but the message doesn't stop there. We live in light of eternity, so store your treasures up in there. And that's something to think about in terms of heaven, to dwell on it. It's an encouragement. Heaven, I hope that's been of some help to you. And I hope you have a blessed evening.